Hello everyone, let's look at Leetcode question 2410, maximum matching of players with trainers. This question is basically asking us to count the number of distinct integers in one array, called players, that are less than or equal to the distinct integers of another array called trainers. This makes sense in the context of the question, because we always want the player's value to be less than or equal to the trainer's, which means that the trainer is sufficiently qualified to train the player. To be clear about the question's conditions, every integer in the integer array represents the player's ability, every integer in the trainer's array represents the trainer's capacity to train. The player ability integer must be less than or equal to the training capacity integer, one player per trainer, one trainer per player. What we first want to do is sort both arrays in non-decreasing order. This allows us to maximize the matchups between the players and the trainers. In this first example, I want to illustrate what happens when we do not sort both arrays. Here, the player value of 9 will never satisfy the condition of having an ability integer less than a capacity integer from the trainer, so we end up with 0 players with 0 trainers. And you can clearly see that this is wrong because there are players with values that are less than the trainer values. So in this example, we have the same exact values used in the previous example, but they are sorted. So what we want to do is run through the trainer's loop starting at 2. And we check if the initial value of players is less than the value at trainers. 4 is less than or equal to 2, false. So we move to the next value. 4 is less than or equal to 5, true. So we move to the next value, and we also move the value of players to the next value. Note that this only happens when the condition is satisfied. 7 is less than or equal to 8. This is true. 9 is less than or equal to 8. This is false. So we end up with 2 matchups between the players and the trainer. In this final example, we have 3 player matchups with their trainers, but notice that there is a hanging trainer that is not being used. So let's go through the loop step by step. First, we start at 8 trainers and we check if it's satisfying the condition. 2 is less than or equal to 8. Yes. So we move both values, 8 to 8, 2 to 4. 4 is less than 8, 2 players. 6 is less than 8, 3 players. Now we must put in another condition that states that if the length of players is equal to the number of matchups, so the answer, then we simply return the answer, because we don't want to go to the other trainer if there's no players to match him up with. Let's also consider the constraints of this question. So it says that there must be at least 1 player and 1 trainer. So we don't have to worry about trainers matching up with no other players or vice versa. This makes it a little bit easier for us when considering edge cases. So now what we want to do in the code is first define answer to be 0. This variable will serve for us both as the counter between the players and trainers matchups and the index value of the players array. And we want to sort both arrays as mentioned earlier, and then create an enumerate object for the trainers. This will allow us to add a counter to the iterable trainer. And then we add our conditions. If the player at the index answer is less than or equal to trainers at index, the answer is +1, and if the length of players is equal to answer, we return the answer. Otherwise, we just return. Let's check. Awesome. Now for the time complexity, it is O n log n. O of n log n. Since we have the loop of the for loop here run in O(n) time, and these two sorting algorithms are in n log n time, so that is simply O of n log n. And the space complexity is O of 1. Thank you so much for watching. Hope to see you next time.